Spilling the Beans digital health podcast is aimed at members of the digital health community globally, with guests from the United Kingdom, Australia and the United States. The podcast is available through all major podcast distributors as well as on YouTube. The show is sponsored by Woodrow Mercer Technology and Woodrow Mercer Digital Health.
Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to Spill the Beans Digital Health Podcast. My name is Duncan Goldie. My guest this week is Paul Montone, who joins us from Miami, Florida. Paul is the Director of Business Development from Qure.ai. Basically reads X-rays, so it's a super smart piece of technology. They've got an amazing team that have created algorithms with machine learning and data science to be able to basically take a lot of the burden off a radiology team, which is really prevalent at the moment, obviously with the COVID pandemic and that being, sitting locally in the chest. They are able to kind of roll their platform out across so many different countries and so many different departments to assist in really quickly identifying abnormalities in X-rays. It's also used for CT scans and everything like that as well, but Paul will go into it in a lot more detail, but it's a super interesting chat that I had with him, and I hope you really enjoy it as well. At one part of this interview, Paul does share his screen, so if you are listening over the phone, it would be a good idea later on if you're able to kind of jump on YouTube and check out the slides that Paul does share sort of halfway through for a couple of minutes. But either way, I'm sure you'll really enjoy it, so take it away. Great, Paul, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. If you can tell everybody, whereabouts in the world are you now?
I'm in Miami, Florida.
Perfect. How's the lockdown situation going over there? It's pretty different. I'm over in London, so it must be pretty different to here.
It's been a little bit challenging to adjust, but I feel like one of the things that it's made us do is get resourceful and kind of get creative to get outside and just make the best of the situation. So
yeah, exactly. Everyone in London has become a runner, so I'm not sure if it's the same over there.
You see a lot of that, and you see a lot of people getting very creative with trees, with the bands and the pulley systems, just finding really just an open area just to get any type of physical activity in. So it's pretty fun.
It's good. It's good to see. I prefer it than just seeing people lying around. But it seems like the sort of general population's got a bit healthier in amongst all the craziness which is going on. So
for sure. Like we're on the bay, and I feel like the influx of canoes and boats that have been purchased on Amazon have probably gone through the roof, because now you see the bay and it's just like paddle boards and canoes and kayaks, and we actually tried to buy one ourselves, but I think we went a little bit too big, and it was a little too hard to navigate. So we needed to. I'm like a go big or go home type guy, so we went with a 4-person, and it was a little too much. So
wow, you need a special license for that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. Well, if you can just tell everyone who's listening a little bit about Qure.ai, which is the business that you work for.
Yeah, so Qure.ai, the initial reason why our founders got into this space is because it was something that really touched home for them. Our company is based out of India, and a very prevalent disease state in India is tuberculosis. So that was the driving motive behind creating an artificial intelligence platform that could auto detect abnormal findings on chest X-ray. And so Prashant Warrior, our CEO and leader, alongside one of our other founders, Dr. Pooja Rao, kind of led that charge with attacking the global tuberculosis initiative. There's a lot of talk around ending the tuberculosis disease, and so that was really their main goal there. Our technology has been something that's been proven and been used in that space for a long time, and so with this pandemic situation that happened with COVID-19, it just so happened that our technology worked very well for COVID-19 as well. So,
and how did you find that out? Was it internally, or did you have someone approach you guys?
So our platform was built off of millions and millions of images. Anybody can build an AI. You could build an AI off of 100 images, but how good is it going to be is essentially the question. So our AI is built off of information that is very, very rich, and it allows us to go very deep. And that's one of the reasons why we're actually able to detect not only individual findings, but we are one of the very few AI platforms that can actually auto detect multiple findings on imaging, and also track progression and volumes. When you start to get into tracking progression and volumes, it goes to show how detailed and how accurate the technology really has to be. So it's actually twofold. Not only is it the way, it's the information that the AI is built off of, but it's also the way our brilliant engineers and data scientists have built our platform. Unbelievable group, young, just brilliant people behind the scenes. 40, we're around 40, a team of 40 data scientists, engineers, commercial product managers, just really, really talented, high level people. And so we've been able to make some amazing strides in a very, very short amount of time. We've impacted almost 600,000 lives in 20 different countries, around 200 different sites, and we're doing some pretty amazing work that's very meaningful. Again, when you look at the number of deaths per day, you compare that to COVID-19, which is on a high end around 200. The global TB deaths per day is around 3,000 per day. A statistic I saw recently in 2018, the number of diagnoses in TB was almost 10.6 million. 2.6 of those million come from India. So again, it just goes to show why this is so important to us and where the passion has come from with developing our technology to really make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, you obviously touched on there how, quickly you've been able to scale. I mean, from 2016 till now, it seems like you've, done absolutely amazing things and achieved so much in such a short period of time, particularly around the COVID pandemic. I mean, was that something that you knew was on the radar prior to the pandemic, how the product could be scaled for other things outside of TB? Or is it something really that you've just seen, this is a way that we're going to be able to add value and let's just kind of jump on and do what we can?
Well, so I'm in the more commercial end of it. I guess anecdotally, I thought, well, if this is an issue that presents in the lungs, it's very similar to tuberculosis, maybe, but it was more about our team on behind the scenes. And again, brilliant team. These are all people that knew exactly what they built our AI, so they knew what it could do. And early on, they started to take a look at, is this something that maybe we could make an impact in? And obviously, we started running our tests and doing the validation things that they were doing to see if it was something that we could make an impact on. And sure enough, it ended up being. And we have commercial deployments in almost 40 sites. We went live very rapidly in 2 Italy hospitals. We actually just partnered with a hospital system in the UK, NHS Bolton, and the Royal Hospital there. So we're doing some really cool things with helping with tracking the progression of the disease state. So it's there's different schools of thought right now as far as detecting COVID-19. They have the PCR test, and there's different gold standards, right? And it's changing constantly. And I don't think that we're saying that imaging is the gold standard, but what imaging could be, it's a very cost effective and another outlet to be able to identify the disease state and also track that progression, right? Especially in areas around the world where maybe certain resources or certain infrastructures aren't in place. Imaging is just another thing that we can do to make an impact on not only detection, but seeing how that patient's doing. Monitoring progression on imaging is different than just detection, right? Because you have to remember, when you're monitoring the progression, there's a lot of manual labor that goes into that, because there's measuring and very detailed work. Whereas when the AI can really hone in and look at those fine details, all automated, all instantaneously, that's where our efficiencies through our AI can really, really help with speed, accuracy, cost, the whole gamut. We can make huge impacts.
And it seems like you are doing that at the moment as well. I mean, it's been
for sure
been adopted,
sure.
Obviously quite quickly internationally as well, which is just fantastic. I mean,
and I just wanted to touch on one more thing. When you talk about speed and how nimble we are, because that's one of our strengths, I think, is we've also, through the pandemic, taken one of our other AI platforms, which is, we call it natural language processing. It's an algorithm-based technology that integrated, we have an integration into WhatsApp, but it also can integrate into other platforms. But essentially what it does is it allows free text, kind of like a chat bot. So free text, and what it enables us to do is actually monitor patients that are symptomatic remotely. So this was a feature that we were able to deploy to help with driving social distancing. So if you're dealing with huge scale with a technology like this, we were able to help large government entities to give patients resources to just say, hey, look, I'm feeling fever, I'm feeling this. And in an automated AI-powered sense, it would be able to read those symptoms of how patients were feeling, give them guidance or direction on, hey, what should you do? Where should you go? Should you stay home and self-quarantine? Should you go to the local emergency department? And that was a huge value proposition for Oman, actually. They had an existing platform, and they saw what we were doing. They were like, okay, well, we have a framework, but we're missing some parts. And we were able to integrate into their platform, and they went live last week or the week before throughout the entire country of Oman to offer this to their citizens and help with the pandemic.
Wow.
So it's really, and again, this is a tool that we repurposed. A lot of our stuff, again, it was repurposing. It's not like we just came out of the woodworks and just started to create these AI powered tools. This is stuff that we had that was very fortunate, and we were able to just retool it and position it for what was needed in the marketplace at that time.
And for that to be rolled out across the whole country, I mean, there's the amount of people that are going to benefit is enormous. And
no, it's huge.
Just for repurposing.
It's a great story too.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic success story. Yeah. I mean, it seems like such a kind of, diverse platform and product that can be multi-purposed and evidently, it can be beneficial to so many people. Have you got any kind of, I suppose, set goals and to what the future looks like, or how you're going to be continuing to innovate and what your aspirations are to continue helping?
Yeah, so we're continually innovating. Right now we're focused. So we were focused on two areas of the body: head, CT, and chest. And we wanted to go very deep into those two spaces and do them very, very well. Multiple findings, tracking volumes, progression, helping with triaging, delivering faster care, more immediate care, helping with door to needle times for hospitals, and then taking those technologies and trying to figure out where else can we help, right? Where else on a global scale can we deliver these technologies? Can we deliver these technologies in a way where for different use cases? Maybe it's not to assist the radiologist in reading. Maybe it's a hospital that wants to do auditing to find out, are we missing things? Or where can we get better? Is it in a case where we're doing TB screening, or are we doing COVID-19 screening for immigration? There's so many different facets and so many different angles that we can go just in the space that we're in now. We're going to be coming out with different iterations to even go deeper in these particular spaces, right? The head and the chest. But I think that eventually we want to make sure that we're doing the areas of the body that we're focused on the best. That's the other thing about us, right? We have our chief commercial officer, Shranjiv, always says that we're not an AI company. We're a healthcare company that happens to do AI because we just have a breadth of experience in healthcare. But he says that we want to go deeper, and we want to make sure that we do it the best. And then once we do that, then we can look at going into other areas of the body. And so I think that once we master these spaces, we have, like I said, we have some different iterations coming out. But I think that we're going to be able to just, we have a lot of room to grow and deliver and deploy our technologies that we currently have today throughout the world. And there's just so much work to just be done here. And then, continuing to develop and innovate and just make our technology even better. Can I share the screen now?
You should be able to. Yeah. So, obviously, over in the UK, there's a lot of new businesses that are coming into, the health tech sector, purely within the sort of the pandemic. I mean, is that the case over in the States with you guys? And what are your sort of thoughts on the amount of businesses that there are, new businesses coming into the health tech sector?
Yeah, Duncan, since this pandemic has happened, you see it almost daily, a new post on LinkedIn, a new company coming out with another AI or some digital health technology. And I feel like one of the main differences is that, there's a big difference between creating a product that works in a lab versus something that works in the real world. And that's one of the big differences with us and how long we've been in this space is, and I'll pull up some of the peer-reviewed studies that we have. You can talk as great as you want about yourself, but I feel like the true measurement is what are other people saying about your technology and how good does it actually work in real world situations. And you can see here a ton of peer-reviewed, published journals, presentations and conferences, TED Talks from multiple people within our company, Prashant and Rohit, all TED Talk authors. I think Rohit has 14 or so peer-reviewed journal publishings, maybe not all of them peer-reviewed, but authored on like 14 different studies, as well as numerous other people within our company. So our technology has been put to the test. Yeah. I think I saw an article, and I won't name the company. It was like XYZ company launches digital AI platform or something to that effect, and then soon realizes that the real world application is not going so well. Here's another This is Mednax, a huge teleradiology company here in the U.S. If you can see, I think they have around 2,000 locations and a number of teleradiologists, and they do a huge amount of volume. And one of the measurements in radiology that they look at is called the AUC. It's essentially a measurement of how accurate you are at reading. And a human radiologist is seen as good at like a 90% or a 0.9 level. And if you look at our models, we are, with this real world validation study, we were well beyond that 90 measurement. And again, real world validation situations. So that's one of the major differences between us and a lot of the newcomers in the space, is that it's been challenged, tested, and not just tested by us, tested by third-party folks in real-world applications. So
yeah, I mean, you can always tell a lot from what other people are saying about you as well, right? But it seems that there's some, there seems like there's some really good press, and you definitely sound like you've got like some really good leadership in there as well.
Absolutely.
Being the driving force behind it. So that's really interesting. I mean, can you tell me a little bit more about the people in Qure and everything that happens internally within your team?
No, absolutely, and it's a great lead-in question. Like the importance behind any technology is really the people, and I would like to just kind of go through a little bit of the roster of our experience, and it's pretty powerful. Our CEO, Prashant Warrior, has a master's from Georgia Tech and a PhD, and then also started very young, just a very, very talented person, got into one of the most prestigious colleges in India, IIT. He background in logistics, doing AI for apparel pricing, and then just needed more of a calling, and that's where I talk about where he took all his talents and just invested it into creating something that could help his home. Dr. Pooja Rue, she's our head of our R&D, another obviously brilliant mind, did a lot of work in neuroscience in Germany, and has 12 peer-reviewed publications. More of our founders, and again, this is a very young, just dynamic team, but I've referenced Rohit, but he has 14 publications. Pritham, Sasank, Ankit, Tarun, these are all brilliant data scientists that work nonstop on constantly reiterating, because with the AI, it's constantly learning. And as it's learning, we're learning, and constantly making these adjustments just help with our accuracy and the way our machine can work. Sharanjeev, our chief commercial officer, he has 13 years of executive experience in GE healthcare, and was a part of some of the leading FDA approvals when it came to cloud-based healthcare technologies. Amar Jargadar, kind of hard to pronounce, but he's another brilliant guy. He has a master's of technology from the Indian Institute of Technology, and he is very, very dialed in to understanding the workflow of the healthcare environment and knowing how to apply our technology in that space. And then John Hawkings is our VP of sales here in the US, and he actually was a US medic and a radiographer himself. So he knows the radiology space probably better than anybody, and he very clinically sound and can talk the talk. Did actually was recruited to Abu Dhabi to be the CIO of a huge healthcare system in Abu Dhabi. And then our other commercial development person equivalent to me in overseas, ex-Siemens biomedical engineer background, and like 10 years of experience in developing field hospitals. So again, just like a huge breadth of experience. And we have, especially through this pandemic, we've been having these daily Zoom calls, and just the game planning and the feedback that we're getting from the market, where we can then just put these collective minds together. And then the exciting thing is our leader, Prashant Warrior, has been very, very good at taking these ideas and and putting them into action, which kind of fires you up to give even more feedback every day.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, the foundations that you have there to be able to build from are just probably some of the best that you can get for your type of business.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
that's where I feel like this is just kind of the starting ground for us.
For everyone else, if they wanted to, get in contact and find out a little bit more, what would be the best way for them to do that?
You always visit our website, Qure.ai. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Our whole team is on LinkedIn. I'm in Miami, Florida. Paul Montone, Miami, Florida. But our entire team is on LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn has become a really powerful way to connect. That's obviously how, right? That's how we connected.
Yeah, exactly.
So, good place. But our website and all of our contact information is there. And our website is pretty dynamic. You can do some virtual demos and kind of get an experience of what we do right from there.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, look, I'm sure there'll be a lot of conversations that stem from this, and a lot of people wanting to find out a little bit more. But look, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. And
absolutely.
We'll stay connected and look forward to hearing more from the good work that you and the people at Qure are doing throughout this pandemic and beyond. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Duncan. I really appreciate the time and the opportunity.
No, chat soon, Paul. Thank you.
Okay, that's a wrap. Thanks very much to Paul for taking the time to sit down and talk to me in his busy schedule all the way from Miami. If you guys did have any questions for Paul or wanted to find out a little bit more about Qure.ai, I've put their website address in the summary of this podcast. And if you did have any questions for me as well about anything recruitment related or whatever I do, then I've put my LinkedIn profile on there as well for you to get in touch. So I hope you really enjoyed it, and I'll see you for the next one. Thanks, guys.